Okay, what's up guys? This video is a bit different to what I normally post. I've posted a couple of videos like this before, but you know, who knows? These videos don't really do too well for me to begin with anyway. It's just some sort of something that I want to keep maybe a log of. I don't really know how to phrase it, but it's just, you know, something that's on my mind, that's on my chest, and I feel like someone out there might, you know, benefit from hearing what I'm about to say in one way or another, or maybe someone will disagree, or maybe it will change someone's mind. I don't know, who knows. I just want to start this off, you know, by saying that if you feel offended by what I'm about to say, then please don't take it like that. I'm just sort of saying shit, you know, how I feel. You can do what you want. It's a free world, you know. Just fucking get on with your life. I also just want to see how other people feel about this topic. Maybe I'll get, you know, a few people. If you do see this and you want to comment, then by all means comment down below. See, I just want to see how people feel about this topic, because I'm in a bit of an echo chamber with my friends on this sort of subject, so it'll be quite refreshing to see why people do this thing. Now I want to talk about ego and image, you know, and sort of how people in the Western world view this kind of topic. In a way, you know, how the main thing I want to sort of focus on is why people purchase certain things, or why people do certain things, because it really doesn't make sense to me, right? So to get this video started, for example, I was at work recently, and I'm not on a small amount of money by any means, you know, for my age I'm doing quite well for myself, but I was saying to these people that I haven't bought a shirt or an item of clothing for myself probably in just over a year. Because, well, you know, the ones I bought last time are still good. I don't really see why I need to buy anything extra. I haven't outgrown it. I haven't lost too much weight. You know, there's no holes in it. And they all just sort of sat there and stared at me. They were like, what the fuck? Why not buying stuff, man? I don't really see the point of just buying stuff for the sake of buying stuff. You know, I've got loads of t-shirts. I've got loads of trousers, you know, shoes, clothes. I could do with, you know, maybe a few more nice pieces of clothing, but I work in a warehouse and I don't ever really leave the house, so I don't really see the point of buying expensive stuff to wear, or buying new stuff all the time just because I like it. You know, I've always been the type of person that would look at something and really analyze, do I need this thing, do I want this thing, and then after a long time of thinking about something, only then will I buy it. And I always make sure that before I buy something, I can actually afford to buy that thing. I don't take things out on credit because I can't afford them. I take things out on credit just to sort of build my credit score. For example, right now I'm looking at getting an M.2 SSD, and I could easily afford it outright, but I'm gonna probably get it on credit just to build my credit score and sort of pay it off gradually. The only thing that I'm willing to sort of go in debt for is a house, because, well, the prices are just fucking ridiculous nowadays. And you know, and it was at that moment that I realized, like, people in the Western world, or people in developed countries, really have this weird relationship with money, and this weird perception of people that have nice things. When it comes to things like expensive clothing or expensive cars, you know, people will look at someone and go, oh, they have, you know, Gucci shoes, they have the 2023 Tesla Model Y. And I've always sort of come from a background where that doesn't impress me, and it never has. So I don't understand why people keep doing it. And sure, I am a bit jealous sometimes, you know, when I see a really cool car and I'm like, oh, you know, I wish I could have that. But it's not something that I dwell on to the point where I would jeopardize my financial security just to have a nice car, or just to have a nice computer, or nice clothes, or this, that, and the other. And by all means, you know, what I'm trying to say is, if you can afford it, go for it. You know, live the lifestyle that you want to live. But there are so many people, especially at work, that can't afford, you know, the nice cars that they have, and then they wonder why they don't have any money left over at the end of the month. For example, there's this one guy who drives a pretty old car. I don't want to say it's a really old car, because I drive essentially the same car that he has. I drive, for you know, car people, I drive a Mark V Golf. It's a 1.9 TDI. It's a PD105. It has 180,000 miles on the clock, which is a lot. You know, it's an old car, it's got a lot of miles on it, but it still runs. And I was saying this to this other guy at work who drives a 2009 Audi A3 1.9 TDI PD105, and he was saying how much nicer his car is compared to mine, and mine is like a rusty, like, piece of shit, you know. And I looked at him and I was like, you do realize that you've basically paid triple for the same car just because it has a different badge. And you should have seen how he was trying to stand his ground, because he was saying like, well, yeah, but mine's worth way more than yours. Mine's, you know, fucking, it's one of my greatest assets, blah, blah. And I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. You're working like for minimum wage and you're driving this car because what, it's an asset to you? Are you ever going to sell this thing? Like, it's not, you know, he's talking like he owns millions in like a stock portfolio, and it's just, it's an old piece of shit Audi. Just because there's an Audi badge on it doesn't make it any better than my Volkswagen. They all came out of the same factory. And, you know, more on the topic of cars, when you drive around like the UK, you see all these people in cars that are 2022 onwards, you know, and if they're expensive cars, they are nice cars, but they're expensive cars. And you're sort of under the impression that these people have bought these cars outright, when I can guarantee you 98% of those people have not fucking even thought about buying that car or paying it off. Now, there are some people, like my boss, for example, he owns, you know, he owns a 2014 Audi TT RS, which he bought outright, and then he also bought outright a 2023 Touareg R-Line, which fair enough, you know, he can afford it, so he bought it. But there are so many people that will take really stupid loans out just to have a nicer car. And I do understand this sort of, I want nice things, so I'm gonna buy nice things. But it really bugs me when people say, oh, I've bought a new car, I've bought a new motorcycle, I've bought this. But when to me the word bought means that you've spent the money and that's it, you know, it was a one-time purchase. But there's people that are spending years paying off a car or a motorcycle, which is a depreciating asset. The second you sit in that car, or the second you ride that bike away, you know, it loses so much value. But people rationalize it for themselves like, oh, you know, I've got this nice car and now people look at me different, you know, or they go, oh, I've got this nice car and I don't really care how people look at me, but I really enjoy this car. And it's, you know, crazy to me. To me, it's really crazy, because the people that I know that have cars from like 2018, 2019, 2020, or people that have taken out car loans on cars that are like 15 to 18 grand, you know, a lot of them are my age, and they're not even like living on their own yet, you know, but they're spending like 300, 400, 500 a month on a car. And I hate to think what situation they'll be in when they do actually end up wanting to move out, or they apply for a mortgage and they have a car loan for a car that they still need to pay like 20 grand off on. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being judgmental. Maybe there's a sense of jealousy there. I don't know. I really don't know. But to me, it's not really something smart to do. I've always said, you know, to me, no car is worth above 5k. I don't think any car should be above £5,000. And I'm sure there'll be petrol heads in, you know, watching this video. I'll get fucking upset by this. But at the end of the day, you're paying for a depreciating thing that will get you from point A to point B. It will break at some point in your life. You know, you're gonna have to spend money on maintenance, and it's just a big box of metal with the electronics going through it, essentially, right? And you can argue about, you know, the paint and finish and manufacturing processes, and I do, you know, I do get that, I do understand that, but there is no way a car from the 90s should be worth the same as when it came out in the 90s. To me, that's ridiculous. I really don't understand. And, you know, just to sort of go back on the point of people making fun of me because I don't spend my money, I don't understand why I need something so flashy, something so new. It would be nice to have a nicer sound system, or to have, you know, like a quieter ride or something, but my car still works. It gets me from point A to point B every single day. You know, it starts up without fail. I've had very minor issues with it. Yeah, it's got a lot of miles on the clock, but why wouldn't I just use it until it breaks? And then when it breaks, I can just pay the scrap man to take it away, and, you know, I'll get some money back because it's scrap. You know, and another thing that has come up in the office was my TV. My TV is from like 2010. It's a really, really, really old TV. I think it's a Panasonic Vision or something like that. It's really, really old, and I don't understand why I would want a new TV. It would be nice to have one, but I don't need one because this one still works, right? And I mentioned this at work, and people at work just gave me like this craziest side eye, like why don't you buy yourself nice things? Like you make all this money, like why don't you buy it? And I'm like, I don't need it though, you know? Does that make sense? It makes me feel like I'm going crazy because everyone in the office has like this fucking television that's like 4K ultra fucking 144 hertz 80 fucking 80-inch QLED TV, you know, and I'm like, what are you watching on this TV that needs to be so like high tech? This reminds me of a friend from my friend group who, for some reason, every single time anyone in the Discord, this was ages ago, but anytime anyone in the Discord would upgrade their computer, you know, they'd get a new CPU, they'd get a new monitor, they'd get a new whole build or whatever. I guarantee you that same day he would have something new coming for his computer to sort of one up the person that's just upgraded something. And I do get it, because it is cool to have the newest, like, fastest thing, but it's only cool until the next fastest thing comes out, you know? And usually it's like a year apart. So I don't get it. I don't understand. It's the same thing with phones. I had my Samsung S10 Plus for 5 to 6 years, probably around that, right? And I only got a new phone because that one was so laggy and so old, it was borderline unusable. And I only just recently upgraded, and I plan on doing the same thing with my current phone. I don't plan on getting anything new for the next 5-6 years. But then you see people that are on contract and they get a new phone every year. I'm not even going to talk about, you know, the environmental impacts of that kind of stuff, because I don't really care at the end of the day, you know, do what you want. But it's just crazy, man. It's actually nuts. People are very easy to trick into buying the newest, coolest thing, and I never understood it. Like, I don't understand, like, okay, you've got a car from 2023, why? You know, why? Oh, because it's got self-driving. Okay, why? Like, oh, why do you even have a car if you want it to drive itself? Just get a taxi. It would be so much cheaper. I think there's a big push in Western cultures or in modern cultures to have nice things, because people do look at you a different way. You know, people that have BMWs, people that have, you know, these fancy cars from 2023. I fell for that trap for quite a long time, until I realized that everyone is paying it off and they're struggling to make ends meet. People will sort of idolize this, you know, like, oh, I need to wear Gucci, Louis, I need to wear this, I need to look like a certain way, I need to eat a certain thing, I need to drive a certain thing, I need to own certain tech in my house. I really don't understand. I miss the simplicity of just an old car where it's an engine and the only electronics in there are like the spark plugs, the spark plug caps, the headlights, and the ECU that just tells it like when to fire the spark plug. I don't know why people need, you know, heads up displays and these fancy like sound systems, or these fancy technologies like remembering how your seat is set up for different drivers. It's all just like convenience, I guess, but it's not something that you need per se. And I don't know. I've always struggled with this sort of perception of oh, I need this coolest, newest thing because so and so, you know, got this thing, or you get it to feel better about yourself. And, you know, I've got to admit, when I upgraded my phone or my computer, or when I got my first car or my bike or whatever, it did feel nice to have that thing. But I'm not the type of person to be like, okay, you know, that's worn off, so I'm going to move on to the next best thing. Because to me, that's really pointless. That's really, I don't know, I'm not really sure what the word for that is here, but it's not something that I want to ever be doing. It's not something that I ever see myself doing. I really don't understand the point of buying something if you can't actually afford it outright. Like, you haven't bought that thing. You're paying for it until you eventually own it, but that's not, you know, you didn't buy it outright. You know, if you miss a payment on your phone or your car or whatever you took out on credit, they can and will take it away from you. Like, they will find you and they will take away your car or your phone or whatever you're paying off. Like, I find the usage of the word "I've bought X" to be very dangerous, because people will sign a contract for 25, you know, months or whatever for a phone, and it's 30 quid a month, and they said, oh, I've just bought this, but you haven't, no. Like, you haven't really bought it, you're still paying it off. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know how you guys feel about this topic, but that's just something that really bugs me whenever this sort of thing gets brought up, you know, in the office, or when I'm talking to friends about a similar thing. I don't know, you know, let me know how you feel in the comments about this, because it'll be nice to see different perspectives from different people. And you know, before I wrap it up, I'm not saying don't buy yourself nice things, you know, but what it is that there's a certain demographic of people that feel like they need to get like an iPhone or an iPad, and I think the reason for that is image, right? Like, oh, I've got Apple everything, like, look at me, you know. I have MacBook and iPhone and Apple Watch and Apple TV, look at me. It's like why? Like, you don't need that though. Like, you don't need any of it. You know, I've got an Android phone, I've got an Android watch, I've got an old car, I've got a computer from like 6 years ago that I built, and I don't see the need of, you know, of improving any of this stuff. It's all usable. Granted, I did just get my phone, you know, but my smartwatch is like probably like 5 years old at this point. I got it around the same time I got my phone, and I still think it's fine. But then you see people with the iWatch Pro Max, you know, because it has like 24 gigashits of data per 25 teraflops of frequencies, or I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't even know if this video makes sense. I feel like I've just been sort of rambling, but by any means, you know, if you feel the same or if you feel different, do let me know, you know, leave a like, subscribe, and thanks for the support.